Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today is Sunday, Easter Sunday. Yesterday was the TC Bash or on-road bash down at SERCCC. Absolutely fantastic. First time in a long time driven a car that is of the older, generation of TC chassis, and with a bit of uncertainty whether or not I'd be able to acclimatise myself to it. Worked out fine, although a little bit weird sometimes. The bash was very, very well accepted by the people that turned up. It was a small gathering, unfortunately, due to a couple of reasons sort of come to mind and were pointed out, which is basically the cost of travelling now for a few, which is quite high, cost of fuel. Easter Saturday, we didn't think it was going to impact us that much, considering that we have the Friday the Easter Bash for ourselves on a regular basis, and have been for the last few years, and we've had great turnouts. This time we incorporated the TC Bash into it, or made it as the prominent event. The turnout was a little bit small. It is something that's not the bash itself. Lou and the guys, Andy, Cooke, Lou, Tony Gray, all put a magnificent effort in promoting it, which was really very well set up. Can't complain about the promotion. It was great. It was just the circumstances of the moment, which unfortunately made the turnout a little bit smaller than expected. But the people that did turn out to race and enjoy the day, fantastic, no problem at all. The best part of it that I would take away from this as a first-time vintage racer is that the gap between a fast guy to a mediocre guy to whatever was that small. Taking into consideration we're all running controlled motors, which was decided upon ages ago, the 17-turn Surpass. Hobby wing speed controllers or any other brushed speed controller makes no difference what you use, whether it be LRP, Nosram, old Tekin, blah, 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 hobby wing, Bisma, brushed ones and what they may be, made no difference to the speed of the cars. It came down to you setting it up and driving it well enough. Control tie was the Team Powers radials, 34H radials. Brilliant, no problem. Whole day's racing, a bit of practice on Friday, and that's the condition of the tyres. They turned out awesome. Not a issue with the tyres at all. As the day progressed from morning to late afternoon, by the time we finished, it became a little bit cooler, and yes, a little bit of warmers on the tyres made a big difference. But setup on the car, if your setup was really good, just chuck it on the track and drive. Have no issues with control, where and how it performed. A little bit of heat did help later in the day because it did got a little bit fresh, as I would say. I must say though, I did enjoy myself very, very much, more than I expected I did. Thank you to Lou, I should say, for allowing me to use one of his spare HPI Pro 4s. I'm trying to get my head around which car this one is, but thank you very much to Lou for the lend of the car. It worked out in the end. Had to do a couple of very minor changes to it, just to make it reliable for my driving, considering that it was an unknown quantity, as I pointed out, delving into uncharted territory. But pretty much a 17-turn motor, a 40mm fan to keep it cool, because the motors do get stinking hot, even though we chose and went down the road of picking up a ratio that's going to be conducive to the motor lasting and performing well and not overheating and burning and all that type of stuff. The fans, whether it be 30 or 40s, did work. I put a 40mm fan on this and made a big difference to the way the car drove and how it felt throughout the 5 minute, I can't remember at the moment. Jeez, my brain's gone mush. Can't remember, but coffee's on here as a backup to make sure I still function. If I don't have coffee, I don't function. Oh God, that's good. But to make sure the motors didn't fade towards the end of the time race time, worked out a treat, not a problem. A lot of us playing with this found that shorties tend to work on the chassis a lot better, only for the factor that we needed to be able to fit within the confines of some of the car's chassis, which were nickel metals, but the way they mounted. So if you tried to run a standard lipo, which you were allowed to do anyway, some of them didn't fit well. So I couldn't get one to fit, so I just ran basically a shorty with foam on either side of the battery pack just to make sure that it did hook in. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to turn on a light. I haven't got the light on. Oh, that's a lot better. Now see what I'm doing. Did some work on the car. I ran the one-way on the front. I couldn't get it to work well enough for myself. I couldn't use brakes at all weekend. Ran the one-way at the front. Pardon me. Ran the one-way on the front, which made the driving of the car really good. Man, it rotated well and cleanly, but touched the brakes, your history. I think it was the speed controller that I chose to run, which was one of the cheapy brushed ones out of a Bismarck. It works great, but the brakes, couldn't adjust the brakes to stop it from locking up, which made the car, every time you touch the brakes, just, even if it's down to 20%, the car would just rotate, grab and rotate on the spot. So drove basically the whole weekend, not touching the brakes at all. So it was how would you call it? A play on driving smooth and knowing where to let go of the throttle a little bit and come back on to negotiate a corner. Car drove well. Been able to crack out the 12 laps to be in the top 6, top 7, I think it was, or something like that. Car was fine. Driver did well. Thank you, Lou, for also, later in the day, I ran the diff on the front to see if there was a difference in driving this compared to driving it with the one-way. Oh, there goes my throat again. The diff did make it easier to drive and a little bit more consistent. It is a diff on the front. Could go heavy on the grease or oil on the front to take away that diffing action, make it drive a lot easier, especially if you're trying to use brakes. But these things have a little one-way sitting inside there, which back in those days everyone wanted a one-way to make it rotate harder. Now we went backwards and we've gone to spools. So I'm going to try and lock that up, and as suggested by Lou, which is actually quite a good idea, got to find the O-rings to do it, put some O-rings in between that gear and that gear, which is your one-way, to actually have it friction slow down, so it doesn't have that tendency to want to rotate freely when it wants to. That might actually make it a bit easier if you're trying to run brakes. That's something I'll try, because I will be running this and keep running this in the retro class at SERCCC, which we will be actually having as an available class from this point forwards. Next race day is the 19th of April, and a Sunday. We're back to normal Sundays. We've gone off the Saturdays now, considering that we're off daylight savings. So on Sunday racings every 1st, 3rd, and on the long months, the 5th Sunday of every month as well. So you have the chance to run an extra day. The retro class will be a standard class format for SERCCC, so keep your ears open for that. And do come down if you've got the time. I do recommend, if you've got an old car, get it off the shelving, stop it being a shelf queen, clean it up, set it up, race it. 17 turn is no faster and no slower than a 21.5 brushless in blinky mode. So you can definitely be competitive in that class and still do the laps that make you a legend, myself included, a legend. And being able to drive this and not sort of take it home in 10,000 pieces. The car was easy to drive, bar no brakes, could not use brakes. Brakes would have made a bit of a difference in some of the corners, just to be a little bit tighter more than anything else, not flowing through the corners as gracefully as it could, but it did work. But big shout out to Lou and Cookie and Tony Gray to get this thing going. It was a blast. It was really, really good. The tyres, and yes, thank you for choosing the TP radials. They worked a treat. 90% of everyone down at the track, no warmers, chucked the car on the track. Once it got cooler, yeah, a little bit of heat made the difference, but goop, yeah, didn't need it. The goop was of something that wasn't needed and actually didn't. And I think Mr. Miller made the statement. He tried the goop to heat it up and it didn't work. It was better just heating the tyres and chucking them on the track. And that was his best result, was just not touching the tyres, just a little bit of heat and going for it. The motors, as I said, were the 17-turn brushed from SERCCC. That is the standard motor. Plenty of brushes in stock. Lou still has a com cutter to be able to skim the comms of these down and put new brushes on them. Yes, you do have to replace brushes after a period of time. You've got to do it. It goes without saying. You get about, mine are still damn good. I'd say 20 runs. You might have to look at the brushes and go for a new set of brushes. Brushes are cheap. Just replace the brushes. The shells, we all used our own shells that we had available, which is pre or post up to 2006 type shells. 90% of the shells were all 0.7 tanks, which is this. This is the Mazda. Mazda shell that was used by many of the guys there. It is just an old reproduced shell out of one of my supplies, which I will be getting more in. It's lasted. It had some massive dings, no brakes. It just keeps going. Real good swap from the cockroaches that we tend to run in all ITC racing now, 2113 mod and so forth. These made a big, how would you call it, impact on what the cars were back then. It was great. It was fantastic. Can't commend it enough. You've got to try it. You've got to try it. If you've got a shelf queen and you know you have the ability to take it out of the shelving at home and put it on the track. I am losing my voice again today. Come on out, have a fang, have a play. You will be surprised how good it is and how much enjoyment you will have. I'm amazed at how much I did enjoy racing this thing, even though it is something that I've never done before in racing. As I said, I'm going to waffle on a bit. As I said, had to do a couple of changes to it to make it more reliable than anything else, because it is an old car. So to try and actually keep it consistent and reliable, the changes were there. Reset the shocks a little bit more laid down, just to give it more consistent rear grip, so it wasn't grip and then snap too much. It wasn't doing that, but to take that away, set the shocks down a little bit. Went out on this one, went to the outside point and to the lowest point on the shock tower. Changed the oil. I don't know what the consensus is out there for the rest of the guys that were running on the track, but for this thing, because there was very little way in the way of adjustment on, how would you call it, the clips there, you didn't have it screwed down, it had clips. I had to use cable ties to get the right height I needed. Ran quite heavy oil front rear, so it's 42 and a half weight AE front and rear. Pistons were 2-hole, large hole pistons, and the springs were soft on the front and semi-soft on the rears. So, and the car was nice to drive, no issues at all. I don't know what everyone else was running. This, with the soft springs and a heavy oil, tamed down the car a fair bit, so I could personally throw it around a lot more without it being nervous and too aggressive to drive, especially changing directions. And it worked a treat, Everyone else there with different cars had a different setup. The fast man on the day was Tim Boundy in the Pro version, which is 2000 and above, with his TC3. The man was unstoppable, clean, fast, low 12, high 11-second laps. Everyone was doing 12-second laps. He still did only 12 lap races. Getting close to 13, but no one cracked it. Who knows? Coming up soon, there might be someone out there cracking a 13 lap pace on the day. And I think we're running 4-minute races, not 5-minute races. Fantastic day. Can't commend it enough. Cars are fantastic. Get your Shelf Queen out there. Tamiya HP, Associated, Shoemaker, God knows whatever you have, makes no difference. Get your 17.5 ton motors, more coming up soon. They're about a week and a half away, 2 weeks away, something like that. They're cheap as hell. They're 29 bucks. God, if you complain about your racing now in your LiPo class and your brushless motors, come out and do this. It's cheap and it's enjoyable. I had an absolute baller. Bodies, anything you can find that's post or pre-2000 up to about 2006 again. LTC, Alphas, Mazda Speed 6, Dodgy Stratos 2.0, anything like that will do the job. None of the new cockroaches, unfortunately, not allowed. Big, tall, lumbersome creations of RC. These are great. They fill the bill. They're strong. You can't wreck them. And you just got the one body that'll do about 10,000 races. That's enough of my waffling. I thank you very much for your time. It is Sunday. I'm sitting down catching up with work. Thank you very much for the support from SERCCC for the event. Next event, hopefully going to get a lot more people coming down and enjoying the day. It was really, really great. Keep in contact with us on the SERCCC Facebook page. Pardon me, SERCCC Facebook page, and also on their website. I will be posting up images and videos coming up soon with credits on the SERCCC website of the day. Have a look and see what you reckon. Enjoy yourselves, look after yourselves, look after your family, and take care of yourselves, and see you next time at the track. 19th will be the next race. Take care, guys. Have fun. Bye.